Hello, friends. Welcome back to Under the Influence podcast. I am Whitney. I am here, and we are going to talk about a little revision that we are making on the show. I really want to find a way to create these solo episodes into things that I'm self-seeking. And the reason why is because I love the solo episodes and they were really difficult and it was very like off the cuff. And they kind of seemed like very rambly. Like it kind of was just me rambling on about topics that you guys have, wanted to know about or that I thought would be relevant. I don't know if they were really serving. Like, I don't really know if it was giving all that it needed to give. And so the other morning, I was driving down to my office. I live about 30 minutes away from my office. And I was like, I want a podcast that is about 25 minutes, maybe 15 to 20 minutes, whatever, 15 to 25 minutes. And I wanted to give a little bit of like a spiritual like hug. I wanted to have a little bit of value. I want a little bit of tips, trends, tips and tricks, all the fun stuff, but I want it to be positive and uplifting. But I don't want it to skim on spirituality. Oh my God. Mental health, business. Like I want it all in one. Like I want it to pack a punch, but I also don't want to walk into the office and feel absolutely drained because there was so much business value or it was, a self-help podcast that made me emotional and made me start looking back through all of my own personal shit. Like I wanted something uplifting, but I wanted something that was like, boom, this is it. You can drink your morning coffee too. And I was like, you know what? Like, let's create this. Like, let's make these solos this. And it's going to be tapered around like what I'm doing, but also it's going to be tapered like toward you guys. So first and foremost, we're going to also call these hot shots. That's right, baby. They're going to be a take on a little mini episode, but they're also going to be a solo episode. It's going to be called Hot Shots with Whitney, or just Hot Shots. I don't know. I'm going to let my team kind of do the creative developing on that one. But let's go ahead and get into it. So as the first episode, I kind of wanted to chat through right now what I'm seeing in the industry, but also to kind of what I'm walking through as an entrepreneur after almost approaching 6 years of owning my own businesses. It's really interesting because I have on so many people and I interview so many different entrepreneurs, whether they're coaches, whether they own brands, whether they own, they're their own creator or influencer. And one of the things I'm noticing is there's a huge shift happening right now. One of the first things that we saw within this creator economy and or marketing industry that we're also deeply in tune with because we're on social media every day and because that's become our new norm is that 2020 really shifted everything. And I know it shifted everything for us mentally, civilly, spiritually, like everyone, it was just this awakening point, right, for everybody. And now it's bled into these, next 3 years that we're at. And it's really kind of shaken up not only our economy, obviously, but it's also shaken up the way that we ourselves are advertised to, the way that we consume, the way that we live our day-to-day life. And this year, I'm also seeing another shift. I feel like January was a huge eye-opener. I thought it really opened up the doors to a whole nother pivot in terms of marketing and advertising, but also for creators. Right now, I know there's so much talk going on with TikTok. Is TikTok going to be banned? Is it here to stay? Should you be getting on TikTok? Should you not? Should you be staying with Instagram and Facebook? There's all this talk. But one of the biggest things I've seen is just these rises of awareness and communities and creators that have been coming from TikTok. And so with that, we're also seeing, we've been in kind of a creator economy, but now I feel like it's even more expedited, right? There's always been this huge abundance of money all around us, but now we're seeing these creators pop off and start to make money. It's becoming less sensitized to us, where now it's like we understand that people can do it. We understand that it's not super hard to attain, and more people are getting on it. Which again, when we go back to the original creator economy with kind of Instagram and the very heavily curated kind of inspo driven feed, we all knew it was out there to make money, but we didn't really know how. And we didn't really feel like it was that attainable. right? It kind of felt like there were like these 1% of creators that could get to the point of going full time and making it their full time solely on Instagram and off brand deals. But now it's like we have Amazon storefronts, you have YouTube and TikTok doing payouts. I mean, you have Instagram now doing bonuses on Reels. You have Like to Know It, that's like kind of the OG for fashion girlies to make to make affiliate money. There's just like all these different platforms, and I feel like we're seeing this shift. We're seeing a huge shift. Now that brings me to the brands. There's also this shift we're seeing where like brands are like, what do we do with TikTok? How do we do this? And today I saw this incredible ad, and I'm sure you guys all probably have already seen it by the time this episode comes out, but Hilton made a 10-minute ad on just themselves. But they pulled in Paris Hilton, they pulled in all these top creators, and they made a huge joke. One of the biggest things with this ad that I thought was so brilliant is it still an ad for Hilton? Absolutely. But it is also an ad for these creators. And what they're doing was so genius. First off, they're breaking out of their super archaic old corporate messaging. Number two, they're bringing in all these value points and refreshing what you know about Hilton and about their rewards program from a whole new take. But number three, they're giving all these creators ad time. They're giving all these creators the ability to be seen with ad spend put behind it. And they're allowing the creators to do what they do best. So there was like I think her name's Girl Boss Town, but she basically like does like the stamp of approval, and she also like does a bunch of predictions for like Kardashians or brand partnerships or things like that. She's amazing. And it's all of her things all about PR, and she kind of talks through this ad and she kind of plays with it, but it's all within her own style of creation. So immediately like you recognize her and you recognize what she's doing. And I love this because there's so much relatability for us to want to hold on. And the whole purpose of the ad was to get you to get to the end of the 10 minutes. And it holds you there because there's so many different creators. You're able to recognize them. They're talking about the value points in Hilton. They're also bringing up the fact that this is absolutely ridiculous to create a 10-minute ad for Hilton and that no one wants to be a part of it. No one wants to stay to the 10 minutes. But yet people do. Like, and again, I'm a marketer, so take this with a grain of salt, but I watched it twice. So I spent 20 minutes of my morning just watching this damn ad. But I loved it. And this is the shift that I'm talking about. This is a huge shift just in our industry where we're actually seeing that movement from, again, traditional advertising has been out. It's been on its way out. But now we're utilizing creators and not just the typical way of an influencer campaign. We're utilizing creators and actually working together in a collaborative effort, more so in the fact that big brands are now giving them their own platform versus a big brand going to them and saying, hey, we'd like you to do X, Y, and Z. We'll pay you for this. Or we'd like to have you do collaboration, or we'd like to team up with you. Now they are giving this whole new platform, which I think is incredible. And it's kind of like a true cross-marketing campaign. I feel like we're just seeing a huge change. Kind of what's been going on with me is I'm seeing so much change as an entrepreneur. And one of the biggest things that I've felt has been such a huge theme for me is learning how to pivot and learning what is serving me and what's not. We had this insane month in December, and I feel like everyone did. There was, a bunch of people spending, there was a bunch of people buying. It was obviously through the holidays. And then we saw January, and it was so dry, and it was so dry across the entire brand world. Like people were just not shopping. All sales were down collectively. Marketing agencies were down, like I don't know how it was for the creator economy, but it just seemed really dry. Through all this, I have two companies, and both companies are making a pivot. I released an announcement that Supr just basically hired on their first CEO, which is so exciting, and basically also brought on a CFO, which is very exciting as well. And we're even starting to see a pivot and a change with the cannabis industry and basically where we want to go moving forward as a instant wellness brand. And this has been really interesting for me because I've always been the entrepreneur that has really taken on so much and never really delegated out unless I absolutely had to. And for Get Supr, I was like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. We're not going to do this. We're going to bring in a team that is going to grow and expand in the areas and expertise that they have so that I can do what I do best. And it's been a very interesting moment for me. It's been very interesting to be working with two new partners and to now have like this brand being looked at in a whole new light and different perspectives to be coming in. And same thing applies to Eckis Marketing. There's been a lot of shifts and a lot of changes with Eckis Marketing. But one thing that we're seeing is that we're starting to drop things that just do not serve us, whether it's services, whether it's clients, whether it's, specific scopes or things that we used to do. And it's also shifting. And before, as an entrepreneur, whenever I'd go through these pivots, I used to call like burning it down. Like I felt like everything was crumbling around me. I felt like everything was getting burned down. And now being in this, I'm like, this is just part of the natural life cycle of a brand. And especially of a brand that you want to be so successful. There's going to be pivots and there's going to be changes. And you cannot, number one, hold shame for that. But also number two, you need to learn to dance with it. I, again, used to give myself such a hard time about this because I used to feel like things just weren't working. And it is true. Those things that we pivot from don't work, but it doesn't mean that it's a failure. It means that you're actually learning what is working and what's not with the ebbs and flows of what's going on around you. What's going on in your environment, what's going on in the economy, what's going on in the client's environment. I've really kind of learned to sit with myself with that. I've put so much pressure on these goals that I have that aren't always in true alignment with what is actually happening in my world. And I feel like too, this probably applies to everyone, right? I talked a lot in January about creating this Notion template, and I still have it, of like goals and, how I'm able to kind of measure my goals out and make sure that they're still aligned as life happens and as new opportunities come in. And I'm starting to also do this for the businesses. I want to hold true, but I also want to let them expand and grow and pivot as needed. And I think that's one of the biggest learnings was that that's not a bad thing. It's actually an incredible thing. And if we can capitalize on that, if we can capitalize on being able to evolve and to change and to move and to flow with all these different new things that are coming our way, we're not holding on with a death grip to what we thought it should be. And it actually opens us up to the opportunity to see things from a whole new light and to evaluate the opportunity. Like, do I want to go in this direction? Is this going to serve me? Because whatever is happening right here might not be giving. That's kind of what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that in my life. I'm seeing that in the industry around me. I'm seeing that we're all walking through this kind of, I think the world's just kind of walking through an ego death, but that's what me and all my coaches and all my people are thinking. But I think that we're seeing something. I think we're seeing another shift in 2023, and I think it's going to be a big one. And I think that we're going to see a lot of brands rise up and do things differently. I think that we're going to see a lot of entrepreneurs rise up and do things differently. I think the creator economy is here to stay, baby. And like I said, I'm still holding out on a couple new social media platforms to come out and just shake it up. Like, I have absolutely loved what TikTok has done to just the social media world in and of itself. Do I necessarily agree with everything that's happening with TikTok right now? No, but I do love that it lit a fire under Meta's ass. And I do think that we need to encourage that. We need to encourage new social media platforms. I also think too, I'm still sitting here, I'm like, when is YouTube, like, are we popping off? Like, you are the OG. You started out just as far back as, Facebook and Instagram. What are we doing? Let's pull it. Let's move this. Let's get some new things. Also, YouTube Shorts, highly recommend. Look into it. We started doing it with the podcast episodes, and they've been tracking, and we've been super impressed with the results. So really interesting stuff going on right now, guys. I also wanted to share a couple fun things for you guys to maybe investigate. Again, this is called Hot Shots, and I'm going to do some hot takes. I'm going to do some fun things on here. And I want to start off with some different recommendations. So first off, I love podcasts. I love them. I am a big true crime girly. My two favorite true crime podcasts are My Favorite Murder and Buried Bones, obviously from the Exactly Right Network. But I wanted to talk about a show that I have been obsessed with. And I like it because there's so much business conversation, but also I got turned on to the show because one of my ultimate just idols was on it, Sophia Amoruso. I don't think she's on it anymore because she's launching, I believe it's called like Business Course or Business Plan. Anyway, it's super cute, but so the podcast is called The Crazy Ones. It's with Alex Lieberman, who is the co-founder of The Morning Brew, which if any of you guys are interested in just business insights, stats, investments, different things going on in the industry, highly recommend you sign up for that newsletter. Me and my boyfriend love it. And it's just great. It's just like a little, again, it's a little hot shot of what's going on in our industry. But the other co-host is Jesse Pucci. And again, Sophie Amoruso used to be on this, but I've been completely obsessed with this podcast. It's great for business. It's great for if you're, again, just wanting to learn a little bit more about, the different people that they interview. Like they just interviewed Richard Branson, which I think he's just so cool in his own right. I'm also reading quite a bit. And one of the things that I really wanted to escalate this year was the amount of books that I read. So the other kind of cool platform or app that I've been using is called Headway. I'm pretty ADD. I need to be constantly kind of stimulating my brain and or constantly working on something. So Headway is this incredible app where basically it's giving you the condensed version in audio form of these books. So for example, like right now I am reading Your Best Year Ever. I've already read Deep Work and I've been falling in love with this app because I can listen to it on my way to work. Again, it's very condensed. It really hits on those. It's like Spark Notes. It's like Spark Notes for all these books. I love it because it just serves me in that right way. Like I'm able to kind of understand, I'm able to get the gist of it, and then I'm able to really dive in and like lean into those core values or those core points in the books. There's so many business books that I get referred to. And quite honestly, like as much as I wish I could sit down and actually read a 300 page book, I don't want to say I don't have the time, but it's not a priority of my time right now. So being able to use this for Headway is something that has been so game changing for me. And then what else? I mean, spiritually, I actually just started the book Love Warrior by Glennon Doyle. And I'm very excited to kind of move through that. My practices are pretty much the same, still morning journaling. I've actually taken on meditation, but not utilizing a guided meditation. This has been pretty insane. I have this little ritual I've been doing. I will go burn off this energy or anxiety that I have on a quick Peloton ride or a quick spin class. And then I'll come home, I'll make myself, water or a protein shake or whatever, and then I'll go sit in the shower. I will sit in the shower and just let thoughts come to me. The water running, but like pure silence. And I'll sit there and I'll close my eyes and I'll focus on my breathing and I'll meditate in pure quiet and things will just come through. Like I had these insane business ideas that came through. I had a lot of really clear thinking of like where I'm going next in my career and what I want to be doing. Honestly, it was really supportive to just sit and think in quiet space. And like I'm in the shower. So like I threw my hair up in like a hair mask and I sat there for like, I don't know, 15 minutes. It was powerful. So those are my hot shots, guys. This has been the first hot shot episode, and I hope you guys like it. Let me know. Also, we want to do a fun little thing where we are trying to build our reviews for our listeners. This podcast has been such like a labor of love, but it's also been a labor of me sharing directly with you guys, bringing on really cool entrepreneurs that I find interesting, and just being able to give value. And we really haven't focused on driving our reviews up. And so if you guys do like this episode, please leave us a written review. If you do, I will send you a free sample pack of Get Supr. Screenshot it, your written review, DM me, and I will ship you out a free sample pack of Get Supr. Love you guys, and thanks so much for going under the influence.